Hello, I'm Sam Frazier, and it's time to connect.
Hey, Sam Frazier, how you doing, man? Thanks for taking the time to connect.
Hey, John, it's good to see you.
Good to see you, man. I really appreciate you joining us here. I am looking forward to talking to you. You played on my live stream. Was it last year, year before? I don't know. The times run together, but during the pandemic, you played on my live stream at least once, if not twice, right?
Well, I did one with other songwriters and then one Bob Dylan one.
That's right. Yeah, I appreciate you doing that, man, and I really enjoyed your sets there. Um, One of the things I will do in the show notes here is I will put links to your music on Bandcamp for folks to check out if they don't know it. You have a new record out with the Side Effects, yeah?
Yeah, at this point, it's just a couple songs, but yeah, I'm pretty happy about it.
Yeah. How did that band, the Side Effects, come together?
Well, it's uh, just a couple of the drummer I played with for decades, and the bass player, not so long, but we're friends, and I just, I wanted a band to play my songs,
Mhm.
basically, and those are the guys. They're into it. You know, it's not easy to find good players that are into doing that, and they don't really worry that much about what they're getting paid.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so when the COVID hit and the gigs went away, we all got recording software and tried to record from our houses. You know, send each other. You know, everybody does it now, but we were pretty new to it. And I would sing and play guitar on a scratch track and send it out, and those guys would do their thing, and then I would do my thing, and we sent it to a friend of ours named Britt Uzzell. We call him Snüzz, and he's very good at mixing and stuff, and so we got what we got.
Yeah. Right on, man. Right on. Well, cool. And you're still doing some solo shows as well?
I am.
Yeah, yeah. You're also teaching music, and I wanted to ask you about that. That's something that really interests me. Is that kind of a day job for you, teaching music?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Now you're from Greensboro, North Carolina. I have some info on your bio, but let me ask you, if you don't mind, for those people who don't know you and are watching this, if you'll just give us a 2-minute high level. Who is Sam Frazier? Give us a little bit of a bio, if you don't mind.
Well, I at the moment I'm living in a place called Blues Creek, North Carolina. It's about 45 minutes from Greensboro, and but I lived most of my life in Greensboro. I went to college at USC for a couple semesters in Southern California, but the rest of the time I've been here. My my family moved around a lot before we landed here because my father was a car salesman. I wish I could stop that ringing. Um, uh, and we moved from North Carolina to El Paso to Santa Clara, then back to North Carolina for the duration. And I've been playing music ever since I was a little kid taking piano lessons, you know. And then when I was 15, I got a guitar and joined the jazz band at the high school. After I was sitting there with the music on one stand and a Mel Bay chord book on the other stand.
Yep.
With there's a picture in the yearbook of the look of panic on my face. But those are the guys I knew to play with, so that's who I played with, and I've just been pecking away at it ever since.
And you've got some amazing guitars sitting behind you there.
Yeah.
Besides the gold top there, J45, and what else?
Well, it's not a J45.
Oh, I thought the other one was a J45.
It's an SJ. The other one is. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I used to think it was a J50 because it's blonde, but it's not blonde. It's just bleached. I mean,
yeah,
uh,
yeah. Well, that guitar right there you're holding, I've heard a couple of online things that you've done, and my God, that guitar sounds good. What year is that guitar?
45.
Oh, my goodness, man, you got a treasure there.
Yeah, I
That's
love
something.
it.
And
I'm way past my time of looking for guitars to buy.
yeah, Yeah, I don't think you need to at this point, though. You looks like you've got some pretty good equipment there. But it's not just the equipment, man. You make it sound really good. And I talked to one of our mutual friends about you, by the way, and Wes Collins. And one of the things Wes said is that Sam's sense of time is really astonishing. His knowledge of theory is so impressive. And I wonder, Sam, Wes and I both were kind of wondering together, how much of that do you think is innate, and how much of that just came from sheer hard work?
Well, I tell you, like I said, I started taking piano lessons when I was really young.
Hmm.
For a little while, I didn't keep it up, and you know, when I started taking guitar lessons, people learned how. I was taught to read, and I was kind of pressured to. I didn't really care either way, and the fact that the people that I knew to play with were horn players in high school,
Hmm.
I kind of had to learn how to deal with all that and learn how to
Yeah.
deal with the chords and I think that's what led me into being really interested in it. And I figured a lot of that stuff out on my own. And then
Hmm.
I took another year of piano before I went to college to get the language for a lot of what I figured out. And so I think it's both. I mean, it's the circumstances sparked the interest in it, and um, it's been very useful to me. It's not really theory.
Yeah. So you, so you, I know you kind of got into jazz at the beginning. Do you listen to jazz much now? Or have you
I
played
do.
much jazz in the past?
I have, but I mean, I consider myself jazz-spirational. You know what I mean? It's a deep well. I mean, I saw you talk to Bill Frisell, and he blows my mind. That guy.
Yeah.
And a lot of jazz. There's a lot of jazz out there that's very. It sounds very erudite and all that, and you can tell it took a lot of work to learn how to do it. But Bill Frisell's got it all, and he makes it sound like, you know, very welcoming.
Yeah, he's a treasure, man. He's such a treasure because he can and has played it all and does it all. I was very blessed to get him on the show. Well, let's see. Who were some of your inspirations as a writer? Who were some of the songwriters that inspired you to start writing?
Well, when I started writing, I I was when I was younger, and I still am. I was into Steely Dan a lot,
Yeah.
and I liked their approach. You know, the music was great, but the lyrics were always beyond reach. You know,
Yeah.
they were about something, but you never really. And I like that.
Yeah.
So when I started writing, I kind of did that,
Yeah.
tried to do that, and it's it can be interesting, it can be just cute, you know. So, but that's how I started, and then I started listening to. I went through the I started listening to jazz a lot, where I didn't care about writing songs. I just wanted to be able to play like Joe Pass, or at least understand what he
Yeah.
was doing. I never made that, but
Yeah. I'm a huge jazz fan, but one of the things, it's almost liberating for me because when I listen to old classic stuff like Miles or Coltrane, or more contemporary stuff like Emmanuel Wilkins or Jonathan Blake, I don't aspire. I know I can't. That's out of my league. Bill Purcell, out of my league. But even when I listen to Dylan, as amazing as Dylan is, I think, yeah, I can do that.
yeah, yeah.
And so it's kind of liberating to listen to those guys in a way. How about Dylan? Has Dylan been an influence on you?
Oh yeah, but I was about to say
Oh, sorry.
what got me songwriting was, I think, uh, the wham bam of Bruce Springsteen and Jackson Brown.
Yeah.
I mean, I grew up listening to James Taylor and all those guys, but when I was of an age to be really emotionally affected by that stuff,
Yeah.
I was into those guys. Bruce Springsteen was the go get 'em guy, and Jackson Brown was the man Love is Sad guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And those,
How old are you, Sam?
I'm 63.
63?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm 66. We're pretty close. And man, when I didn't catch the first Springsteen but when Born to Run came out, it blew a hole in my universe. And Jackson Browne was always just, oh man, really important to me as well, for sure. Yeah, I think about those days so
Those
uh,
things, those
fondly.
things, they Jackson Browne specifically rang true to me, you know. And then I think when I went to college, there's some guys across the hall that were into Randy Newman, and that really blew my mind. The whole untrustworthy narrator guy,
Yeah,
which wasn't Jackson Browne's thing. Seems like he was always singing from his heart, you know. But Randy Newman wasn't, and
yeah,
I find that amazing that a guy with those kind of short story chops can put it to music.
right. Yeah. So, what are some of the shows that you look back from years ago that you saw that just kind of blew you away, that you were there for?
Well, as far as the shows, the local guys, the good local guys were the best, really. There's a band around here called the Sentinel Boys, and you could go see them in a small bar, and they tore it up. They improvised. They great songs, and seeing that stuff up front was really more important than the big time people. But the big time people, as far as concert venues, probably the best one I saw was the Police.
Yeah,
I couldn't. I still it blew my mind how great they were in such a large place. I mean, I saw Bob Marley when I was out in California.
wow,
Um, I saw Van Morrison, who's a big deal to me, but his thing is always the times I've seen him have been okay, and then there's a spark of good Lord happening, you know, and that's what you go for with people like that. You don't expect a
yeah,
polished show, but I'm trying to think of some other ones. There's a lot of, you know, Richard Thompson, seeing him live.
yeah.
Uh, I should have thought about that more.
So you've opened up for some amazing acts. You opened up for Joan Armatrading, Neville Brothers, America. Wow, man. Del McCrory, Atlantic Rhythm Section. Who's somebody that you have not opened up for or shared a stage with that you would love to?
Heck, man. Um, I don't know that I would like to open up for Richard Thompson. I'd be too cowed. I was almost too cowed at Joan Armatrading
Yeah,
because she's those first few records of hers just kill me.
yeah,
And but I don't know. I'd like to open up for Steve Earle, maybe.
yeah,
A friend of
yeah,
mine used to, her husband used to play with him, and they're pretty friendly, and he seems to be pretty supportive kind of guy.
yeah.
So
He has some connections to your part of the country. With Florence Dore, you played with Florence, haven't you?
right, that's who I'm talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Right, right. Sorry, I missed that. I'm having a hard time hearing you for some
No,
reason.
no, I didn't say her name. I said a friend of
Oh,
mine.
gotcha, gotcha.
I'll lean in.
Okay, thanks, man. So, let's see. Um, who you listen to right now? Is there anybody new or not necessarily kind of going back, but anybody in the more recent 5 to 10 years back that you've been listening to that people would like to hear about?
No, I don't. I don't. I hear what my students are into,
Yeah.
and so I hear some of that stuff, and some of it I like, and some of it is I'm just trying to help them with.
Well,
But
that's cool that you have those young people that
oh, it is, yeah.
I mean, and so that gives you a little bit of a window in. Can you think of any of the stuff that has resonated with you that you probably wouldn't have heard of had it not been for your students?
But I'm having trouble with names.
Okay.
The what is that song? Um, they're two big time, huge female singer-songwriters that some of my younger students turn me on
Uh-huh.
to.
I mean, I'm sure there's some Taylor Swift stuff in there, right?
That was there used to be.
Yeah.
Uh, Shucks.
It's all right, man. It's
I'll
okay.
figure it out. I'll
Let
figure it
let me ask you about your students. Let's switch a little bit and let me ask you about your student, because one of the things that I'm interested in as a music teacher is, have you noticed any difference? I'm a retired college professor, although I still I'm technically retired, but I still teach as an adjunct. And so I've been working with younger people for many, many years, and I've definitely noticed some differences in younger people over the years. Some good, some bad. But I'm curious if you've noticed anything. I don't know how long you've been teaching music, but have you noticed anything in particular about your students? Has it changed? Who are the ones that seem to be committed? What do you see in them? I'm just curious about, from a perspective of a teacher, what's your experience with students?
Well, they run the gamut,
Yeah.
and I have all sorts of students. The ones that are primarily into playing guitar, um, it's very interesting because there's no one way to do it.
Uh-huh.
And like I said, I learned how to read music and all that stuff, but not everybody needs to do that. Not everybody cares, and it's not even going to come in handy for a lot of people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I have one in particular, a student who I never taught to do that, but he's eating up the theory like with a spoon, and the a lot of the technical stuff he's eating up too, and he's a lot like me when I was a kid, just wanting to pick up stuff around him, and I'm helping him the way I would like to be helped. And then there's some that want to write songs, and that's really difficult to because you want to be positive, and you don't want to try to put your thing on their thing.
Yeah.
Which is just like I have a student now who's very talented. She sings her, what off, and her songs don't have any shape. She just goes on and on with what she's feeling, and I'm trying to find a way to, give it some shape.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's not really an answer to your question, but everybody's different, and I've been doing it a long time, and I don't really notice any trends as far as
Okay.
young.
Let me ask you an impossible question, but just see what you say. If you can only listen to one album for the rest of your life, what is it?
One album.
Yeah.
I'm over here trying to find these names of people.
Okay.
To no avail. One album. Let's see. Two records that really killed me were the Rock of Ages band album.
Yeah.
I heard that before I heard all the other ones. Really, I mean, I heard the Big Pink album, and this Van Morrison live album called "It's Too Late to Stop Now."
Okay.
Have you heard that?
I don't think I have heard that one. I probably have, but I don't recall that one.
You can actually get the movie of that time.
Okay.
It's, he's at the peak of his powers, and
Yeah.
he's got a killer band.
Yeah, always had amazing band around him. Yeah.
And those records, they, I mean, the band doesn't mess around much as far as improvising, but Van Morrison does. And I suggest you listen to his version of Into the Mystic on there.
Uh-huh.
And if it doesn't make you smile, I don't know what would. He
Yeah.
just goes nuts at the end of it.
Yeah. Yeah, man, the power of music is endless for sure. So let's see. Let me switch a little bit and ask you what pisses you off.
What pisses me off?
Yeah.
Um, well, I was playing at a show a couple weeks ago, and there were some people sitting right up front in front of the stage, talking louder than the band. And I've been doing this long enough to where it didn't really piss me off that much. But somebody else offered to pay their door if they go somewhere else.
Mm.
Those kind of things bug me, but I don't know why I brought that up. I thought it was kind of funny. But what pisses me off, I can't really think of anything that pisses me off besides the overall, political insanity that's going on in the country. I just read a really good book called Woe to Live On. Have you ever read any Daniel Woodrell?
I don't think so.
He wrote Winter's Bone. Do you remember that
Okay.
movie? And
What is it?
Winter's Bone.
Oh, I've heard of it, but no, I'm not familiar.
Well, this is another one of his books, and
Okay.
it's a Civil War novel.
Gotcha.
And it's about a group of Southern raiders towards the end of the Civil War, and it's horrible. It's just horrible.
Yeah.
And the reason that they're doing the things they're doing resonates so much with the schism in this particular country at the moment. And it's kind of scary. That kind of stuff pisses me off and worries me, but I don't know. I try. I'm pretty generally a happy person, so it's hard to answer that question.
Do you have any practices, any methods to deal with?
No, I don't meditate.
You don't?
No, but I
Have any
live out
version?
here.
Is music your version of that, you think?
I do.
Yeah.
You know what? When I'm playing, I quite often I'm right there in the moment, and there's nothing else. And whenever there is something else, is when the mistakes happen. But it's pretty amazing to be able to get there. And I mean, I don't know that I could live there or that I would want to live there, but
Yeah.
it sure is nice, and it's yeah, I think that's it.
Cool.
I'm still trying to find these performers. There's two people I'm trying to think of in particular.
While you're doing that, let me ask you another question. What do you have any? I've been asking people, do you have any guilty pleasures or anything that would surprise, that you will admit to, that might surprise people about you? And I just got to tell you, I interviewed Jonathan Blake, the drummer, recently, and man, I didn't expect much. And he told me, well, most people don't realize that I actually played violin on an episode of Mr. Rogers when I was 6 years old. It's like, oh my God,
That's bad.
What's that?
That's a bad thing.
No. Just he's something that people don't know about him.
Oh yeah. Okay.
I asked him. I said, "Do you have any guilty pleasures, or maybe something that would surprise people that they don't know about you?" And he goes, "Well, most people don't know that I played violin when I was 6 on Mr. Rogers."
That's awesome.
What might surprise people about you, Sam?
Well, nobody knows me, so nothing
well, even the people
surprise.
who know you, what would surprise them?
You know what surprised them is that I got married 3 years ago.
How many years ago?
3. I waited till the day after I turned 60.
Wow.
And got married for the first time.
Yeah, right on.
So my whole life right now is a surprise to my friends.
Beautiful.
And good on them. I'm glad they're happy for me.
Yeah.
I found one of the names. One of the names is Billie Eilish.
Yes. Yeah.
And I still remember a student of mine brought some in to learn. And at first I thought it was too much, man. but then I kept hearing it, and it's pretty amazing. And the thing she has with her brother is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Her brother plays guitar with her, and that was a good one. And well, that's one of them.
Yeah. Sam, how'd you manage to stay single for 60 for 50 years or how many years it was?
Well, I stayed pretty much high for a lot of that time.
Okay.
Yeah, I had bad habits,
Okay.
which is which is what was the fuel for most of my songwriting for a long time.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
There's a thing. There's a thing I didn't put on the bio. I'm wearing this shirt called the Healing Blues,
Yes.
and it was a project a couple of years ago here in town where the homeless people were hooked up with musicians. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Um, Homeless people were hooked up with musicians, and you know, songs came out of it. And those were the first songs I wrote after a long time of not writing songs because I was pretty happy. And I would recommend listening to some of that stuff too, the Healing Blues. I have a song on both of the CDs, uh, but in one case, I met a kid and just talked to him for a while and came up with a song that I really like called "Wait." And the next year, I didn't meet the person. I just heard a transcript of an interview. You know, there's the my favorite thing to do is come up with a good song.
Mm-hmm.
And you asked about Bob Dylan.
Yeah.
And it, he's an example of how many different ways there are to do that.
Yeah.
I sang a song on your streaming thing called Joker Man,
Yes.
and I still don't. I love singing it. I really don't know what he's talking about. The little points in there make sense to me, but as a whole, I don't really know. And I
Yeah.
still think it's awesome, and it still moves me somehow.
Yes. No doubt. No doubt. I think I've heard you do that song too, and I don't think I've ever heard anybody else do a cover of it, and I really enjoy the way you play that song. But you're right; it's a song that it just seems inscrutable. I have no idea what that's about,
Yeah,
but yet it somehow compels me, and that's Dylan. He does it so often. Once in a while, you have those Dylan songs that are pretty clear narrative line what he's doing, but a lot of them are just that way. You have impressions, you have feelings, and then you just have really badass words that just compel you for some reason. And probably like you, I like to write that way.
yeah. I wish I could write that way, but
Well, I strive to. Yeah.
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 And I'd still write from the point of view of I'm not trying to explain anything to anybody.
Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's all very it's such a great art form because there's so many ways to do it, and then it has to go with the melody and the harmony, and it's all one thing. It's not just
Yeah.
words. I remember Bob Costas used to have a talk show.
Yeah.
One time he had Paul Simon on there, and he had Smokey Robinson on there, and I don't remember if they were on together, but he asked them the same question: are lyrics good when they're separated from the music? Are they worth anything? Paul Simon said no,
Mm-hmm.
and Smokey Robinson said hell
yeah. Interesting.
I thought that was interesting.
Yeah. Paul Simon's another treasure. There's a series out right now where he Malcolm Gladwell interviews.
I listened to that audiobook.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah, he's quite amazing. Well, let's see. Let's kind of start wrapping up here, Sam. If you've watched other episodes, you know my last two questions already. So, cat's out of the bag. One question I'm always interested in people's concept of death or afterlife, or what happens when we die? Do you think about mortality, etc.? Do you have any philosophy or concept about that?
Well, I don't think there's any afterlife, and I don't think there's any. I think this is it.
Do you think about it?
I do not. Um,
Pretty much stay in the moment?
well, yeah, I don't. Yes, I do. That's pretty much trying to stay in the moment, and I don't. I don't. What is the existentialist thing? Existence before essence.
Yeah.
That seems to make sense to me. I haven't run across anything that made me change my mind.
Yeah. I mean, that right there is an easy way to distinguish philosophies, basically life philosophies between people. It gets obviously a lot more complicated than that, but do you believe there's an essence before existence, or not? Because that's going to separate people right off the bat for sure. All right, man. Last question. When you are dead and gone, what do you hope people say about you?
Oh man, good Lord. I
We're at your
I
funeral. What do you hope people are saying at your funeral?
well, I hope they're kind of sad.
Yeah, of course.
Well, not necessarily. There are people out there. Uh, I, I don't. I don't think about things like that at all.
Okay.
I should have been prepared for that, and I knew you were going to ask it, but I'm like anybody else. I would like to envision, you know, people telling stories that aren't too embarrassing, but having a good time, and uh, it was good that I was there, you know. Um,
It's a question that maybe I think about too much, but as I get older, but it's just another one of those questions that I always wonder about how people think about it, because we know it's one of those mysterious things in the sense that it happens to all of us. Nobody nobody's exempt from it, and we apparently, as far as we know, are the only creatures that know we're going to die. We have that foreknowledge. And
right.
so that sets up a lot of psychosis. Sets up a lot of potential for philosophy and thinking about it. And history is full of people who have thought about it and put forth theories and ideas. And I don't really have a theory or idea myself, but I do think about it now and then. And I think it is such a mind blowing thing, because when it does happen to someone close to you, it feels so weird. Have you lost people close to you?
Yeah, my parents are dead.
Yeah. It feels so strange. It feels so almost unnatural, and yet there couldn't be anything more natural. And so it's just one of those topics that I think can invite a lot of interesting discussion. But
Well,
it's okay, man.
my father died a long time ago, and when he died, I toyed with the idea of an afterlife because I just didn't want to deal with it, you know. And I love hymns to that effect. Like there's a version of "When the Roll is Called Up Yonder" that I kind of caught from Kelly Joe. What's his name? I can't remember, the slide player. Phelps. Does that make sense? It
Say it
doesn't
again.
matter. There's a great. Occasionally I sing "When the Roll is Called Up Yonder."
Yeah,
It's a
yeah,
great hymn. I
yeah.
don't believe any of that stuff, but
Right.
I would like to, and I think it would be nice.
Yeah.
And so
But it feels good, doesn't it?
when my dad died, I really wanted to, but that was a long time ago. And so when I say what I think about the existence and essence and all that stuff, it kind of takes the onus off me for worrying about when I die, because I won't have any. It won't be my problem anymore.
Yeah. Well, man, on that note,
That's
I want to
hard.
thank you so much for taking the time to connect, Sam. And I will put links in the show notes to your music and your website. And I want to encourage you to put more videos out on your social media. I always enjoy when you do, sitting on the, I don't know, is it your back porch or wherever it is that I've seen some videos, and
Yeah, yeah.
always really enjoy those, man. So keep those coming, and I wish you all the best.
Well, you too, John, and I wish I had some more, you know, coherent things to say to you about some of these.
No, it's all good, man. I've enjoyed talking to you,
You
and
too,
enjoy
John.
listening to your music, and hope to meet you sometime in person.
Me too.
Take care, man.
Bye.
Bye bye.